The early 90s were an interesting time in the UK. A recession was kicking in. The Conservatives were continuing their stretch in power, and unemployment was on the rise. For a young kid though, the only major conflict that I had was whether I was going to buy a Nintendo or a Sega. But little did I know that the winds were about to shift for me back towards playing games on computers. In late 1993, an almighty beige Packard Bell 486 materialised with a plucky DX2 50MHz processor and a whopping 4MB of RAM. Although I still like consoles, the sheer variety and quality of games experienced back then on that PC left a mark on my young self. So, for this video, let me take you back to those early years on my personal PC gaming journey into 10 DOS games that hooked me completely and utterly and didn't let go. They are games that I sunk hundreds of hours into, bought with pocket money or borrowed from my friends. Playing these again through DOSBox for this video brought back so many warm memories, and I just want to share those with you too. Starting off with Championship Manager 2, the glorious PC game that stole hundreds of hours from me and many others. True addiction this is, if you've never tasted it, more addicting than the hardest Class A drug, even though it was effectively like playing a glorified Excel spreadsheet. Hours upon hours spent poring over statistics and characteristics of real life players to build a championship winning team. Doesn't sound great, but honestly, this was a joyful time. For some reason, I can't remember why I always picked Middlesbrough, even though I lived hundreds of miles away. But as soon as I started playing this game again, it brought back long buried memories. Memories of seemingly always losing to a late goal, a result most likely due to having no idea really about football tactics. Didn't stop me from trying though, and I was pleasantly surprised in the course of recording this video that I managed to claw a late goal and draw this first game with Spurs. Although going down 2-0 pretty quickly made me think I was going to lose. I remember often staying up very late playing this game. It's got that really addictive quality in a similar vein to Civilization, where you just want to click one more turn and, in this case, one more fixture. To be honest with you, I never ever won a trophy in this game that I can remember with Middlesbrough, or if I even tried any other teams. And to be honest, it's likely to stay that way. I just don't think I really understand how to play this game to its fullest. Do love it. Looking forward to playing more of this. Real-time strategy games are about to explode to become a major PC game genre after Command & Conquer was released in 1995. But before that, this game existed, providing a simulation view of the major battles of the Napoleonic Wars. I adored the sheer scale of the battles in this game and the chance to rewrite history. Back then, the clunky animation and unwieldy interface was forgiven because I could totally geek out and interrogate statistics on each regiment, telling me how many hundreds had perished as I drove them headlong into the enemy time after time after time. I could even see sprites of dead soldiers littering the battlefield, and I loved those little details. The sound of musket and cannon added atmosphere, and I could watch as my regiments that were holed up in houses and farms were furiously attacked, and their fortifications gradually turned to rubble. Back in the day, I thought that was so awesome. And at the time, I couldn't get enough of the TV show Sharp, and the depictions of the sheer scale of these battles. And this game gave me PC equivalent that I could rerun in my own time. It's still a fun game to play today and can give you some epic battles, as long as you can look past the clunky graphics. Ah yes, the PC's Virtua Fighter type clone. I still have a PC Zone magazine which gives this game a really high score due to the polygon look and the music and what it was able to achieve back in the day in 1995. I remember wanting this game so badly back then to see the 3D graphics running on my beige powerhouse. Remember, this is pre-dedicated graphics card days. I recall though that it wouldn't run at optimal speeds at all on my 486, and I had to reduce the graphic details significantly to make it playable. And I used to play it with a joystick. How quaint. It only had 2 buttons though, one for punch and one for kick, so it's pretty simple. And even though fighting games aren't my favourite genre, I enjoyed this game a lot. I was too young to question the hokey story, and I tended to play as the human type characters. But I enjoyed it a lot, and it was my go-to fighting game on the PC. Replaying it now, it's probably the one that has aged the worst out of all the games on this list, as the gameplay is pretty naff, to be honest. Still, the music is incredibly cool, and you can play as a living being made out of magma and rock and punch and kick the crap out of other space aliens, so it's still good to revisit. I'm putting it on the list just because it was the first 3D fighting game that I could get on the PC that somewhat rivaled what was coming out on the consoles. Well, what can I say about Doom 2 that hasn't already been said? Such an absolute classic. I remember being nervous to play this game at night. The flickering lights and the growling from the demons always put me on edge. My younger brother was only 2 years old or so at the time, and he would run from the room screaming whenever I put this game on. Now, map 2 of episode 1 is also etched into my memory. I'm sorry to say, but it took me a while to figure out that I had to run across that gap to be able to get up the stairs and pick up the red key. You know, I had played Wolf 3D before, but this game was something completely different. I also love the way that it was only this year that someone managed to 100% every secret for every single level in the game. That shows the pure genius of John Carmack and John Romero when they created this game. Now, my only slight regret about this one is that I was too young really to comprehend the whole deathmatch subculture that exploded with Doom and Doom 2. You know, back then, at that age, I knew nothing of modems at that time, and I could only imagine how groundbreaking the first ever online deathmatch must have been like to be experienced. A gaming experience never before seen, heard, or felt for those first gamers. So at some point in the future, it's going to be my aim to create a little LAN of old PCs. Hopefully when my brother comes to visit, we'll try out Doom Deathmatch, something that's been waiting for a couple of decades. I can't wait for that moment.
Despite what you may think, Lieutenants, we are not holding this war at your convenience.
I should say not, Major. The quality of champagne around here leaves quite a bit to be desired.
Air raid, lad. To your plane on the double.
Bloody hell.
Again, like FX Fighter, I lusted after this game after reading stellar reviews in PC Gamer and PC Zone. Now, I wasn't really into flight simulations at all at the time, but this one was different. The interesting storyline and cutscenes with full voice acting was super cool. And the way that the planes were slow and laborious to fly and maneuver made it a real challenge. This was really a duel with the opponent, in the sky and feeling totally exposed. There's no heat-seeking missiles fired from miles away. You needed skill to put your wooden box with wings and engine in the right place. You had to get them in your sights and let fly with your Vickers machine guns. The wings creaking as you banked hard to keep on your tail was thrilling. Now, just as a note, I have had a really hard time getting this game working on any of my current retro PCs. And to be honest, it was a bit of a pig even on DOSBox. But eventually I figured out how to get it working with the help of Vogons. Also, interestingly, this game was the driver for a £120 British upgrade to the venerable Packard Bell back in the day. £120 bought me 4 more megabytes of RAM one Christmas. And oh man, was that worth it. Thanks a lot to Dad, because that was a lot of money to put down for something that he wasn't going to use because he didn't play this computer. So that was really, really cool of him. Growing up, I had a bit of a penchant for cowboy movies. They always seem to be playing at the weekends, you know, like John Wayne types, you know, cowboys and Indians and westward expansion and all that sort of thing. That might have been the reason why I got this game, but I can't really remember to be sure. However, it was a great purchase, as it has become one of my favourite games of all time. The cinematic camera angles and the polygon characters were absolutely mind-blowing at the time. And that soundtrack, wow, that's so awesome. Unfortunately for you guys, I'm recording the floppy disk version, so there's no CD sound here, but check it out on YouTube, you won't be disappointed. It's really got that Western vibe. It's also interesting that I love this game so much as it feels more like an action adventure and not really a survival horror like Resident Evil. I like narrative driven games rather than out and out scares, so that's probably why I really like this one, and it's stuck with me. I spent countless hours, nights, and weekends building my city from scratch until it filled the entire landscape. Going so far as to having so many of those late game city in a building type structures dotted all over the map. I seem to remember all my cities tended to become high traffic, high pollution black holes of serious crime, poor healthcare and abysmal schooling. But they were still profitable. Thank goodness then that I didn't become a town planner. Love this game, and still the music and newspaper articles make me smile. Such a really cool sandbox game that really kind of just lets you do anything you want and build the city that you want to build. I hadn't really played a game like this before, so this one really hooked me. And it's still a great game today in my opinion, still very playable. It's only recently that I bought SimCity 3000, which I do think is an improvement. But because this one hooked me in during my teenage years, it's the one that I think I still like the best. As soon as the music kicked in for this, it brought back so many memories of playing late into the night. I love this game so much, even though I don't think I really understood the nuances of the gameplay back then. I feel like I used to always tend towards the militaristic when I used to play this, creating as many towns as I could, enslaving all the tribes nearby, and trying to create a lot of soldiers and cannon to eventually wrestle free from the homelands. I played this one before any of the Civ games, and I loved it. Incredibly addictive, just one more turn. It's good fun playing it now with its jaunty music and surprising depth. As I recorded this, I had to peel myself away, or else I would just spend all evening playing this one again. I know that they re-released this game in 2008 with updated graphics. I haven't tried it, but it's something that I could put on my Steam wishlist. Really still think this game stands up. It's still fun. It's a little bit of a tricky subject, colonizing the new world and subjugating all the people, but I think if you take it back and just look at it as from a game point of view, I think it's still fun to enjoy. So what should I say about this one? Possibly my all-time favourite racing game ever. And I feel the gameplay still holds up. I can still play this and have fun racing wheel to wheel with the computer opponents. It feels smooth and the level of difficulty can be tailored. It was one of the first games I played that had driving aids that could be toggled on and off. Good old Carlos Sanchez. the default driver, who I assume was meant to be Ayrton Senna. The smooth polygons, I feel, give this one a clean, timeless look, and the sounds are basic but of good quality. There's no dance music or American punk rock in this game, no sir. I also recently tried it with a steering wheel, but to be honest, it feels strange to not use the keyboard control scheme that I've just grown used to. I also played this one to death, but strangely, only a few selected tracks. For some reason, I don't think I ever played a full championship season all the way through. That is something that I will need to change. I also one day want to try network play and see what it's like to have a friend play it too at the same time, a little bit like the Doom games. I remember when Grand Prix 2 came out and my PC didn't have the specs to run it. I was absolutely gutted. To this day I still haven't played that game. I have a box copy now, and I will need to give it a shot one day. I just need to get time to get around to it. This is the only game that was released before 1993 on my list. Coming out in 1989, this is here because of its significance on my young mind. You see, this was the first PC game that I ever played, and although the visuals look crude today, this was the first racing game that I had seen that ran in full 3D, and had this amazing instant replay feature. As an 11-year-old, I remember spending hours creating pileups by going backwards and using the replay feature to witness my handiwork from different angles. I loved the speed of it. I even loved the copy protection method making me dig through the manual. Just playing it now brings back warm feelings, and I can't resist ramming a few opponents and watching it again and again. I don't even mind the PC speaker sound effects. They sound cool to me, I like them. I can only imagine if you had a 286 back in '89 and you played this for the first time, this would have blown your mind. Such a cool game. And that's my last pick for this list. Phew! Well, that's it. Thanks guys for watching, especially if you stayed right to the end. This video ended up being a lot harder and taking a lot longer than I ever thought to pull together, so I really hope you enjoyed it. You know, tell me in the comments which games you played the hell of back then. Can you believe this is now 25 years ago? Time flies, doesn't it? Well, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like and consider subscribing for more videos. Hopefully I'll put a few more out like this, because I've got lots of other games that I played back then. I might make shorter videos, so maybe top 5s or something like that. Anyway, as always, thank you very much for coming by. Thank you for your time. I hope to see you soon. Bye.